Creatine, how does it work? In this video, we're going to talk about what it is, where it lives, what it does, and is it even worth taking?
We'll also touch on side effects that may occur.
Okay, welcome to Talking with Docs. I'm Dr. Brad Wiening.
And I'm Dr. Paul Zalzal. Creatine is an amino acid in your body. It's made up of 3 other amino acids, glycine, arginine, and methionine.
Yep.
To make up this very important compound that exists in your body.
Yes.
Whose main role is to help out with energy production, isn't it?
That's right. It helps our skeletal muscle function, but more recently it's shown us that it plays a significant role in brain function as well. And creatine can be made in small amounts by our liver and our kidneys, but it's primarily consumed in animal products.
Right, so meat is probably one of your primary sources.
Definitely.
Sorry,
plant-based eaters. However, there is a small amount of plants and you can make some.
But how does it work in the energy cycle here? Is it part of that Krebs? If you know the Krebs cycle for respiration, put your hand up. No, wait, that doesn't work in this format.
No.
If you put your hand up, put it up again. No,
That's
if
right.
you put your hand up, leave a comment that you fell for that. So it isn't part of the Krebs cycle.
No.
Okay, but it is next to it and really important because it helps in taking ADP and turning it into ATP, which is that energy currency that cells use.
Right. So before I forget, if you do take creatine, have taken it in the past, know someone that's taken it, leave a comment, let us know what you think about it. So so ATP is that energy currency for all of our cells. It's the way that our body moves around energy to do stuff, and that includes to think, to process food, to get rid of waste, but also for your muscles to contract.
And it's a heck of a thing to memorize when you're in high school biology or med school. And after you memorize it, you forget it.
Right, so people are like, well, if I need so much ATP, why don't I just eat a whole bunch of ATP? Or why can't my body store ATP? The nature of the ATP molecule, so it's adenosine triphosphate. So adenosine is actually a molecule called adenine connected to a sugar called ribose, and that has a little tail of 3 phosphates. And because of this little tail of phosphate, it actually makes it inherently a little bit unstable. So that 3rd phosphate can be cleaved, and when it's cleaved, it releases energy.
Right. And then
this is where creatine.
ADP left, and then creatine, which is converted to creatine phosphate, gives ADP its phosphate to have it ATP again.
Right. So ADP and phosphocreatine are both stable molecules. So when we have creatine, we keep the phosphate there just waiting around for when your muscles are getting to act. And when they do, when we all remember from the science, it's almost like a little rower. When it engages and then contracts and the muscle length changes, that's when the ATP comes in. So this is why we need creatine. And if you eat enough and your body makes enough, you can have those stores ready to perform about 30 seconds worth of exercise.
And it doesn't happen in the mitochondrion as I thought. It's actually outside of it.
Yes.
Isn't it? Surprise, surprise. Okay, enough of that jargon.
It's a lot.
You're sitting there wondering, should I take creatine supplementation to help my muscles?
Right.
Or brain?
Right, and you're wondering what kind of activities are going to help. Well, it's primarily the weightlifters and the people that lift weights that are really thinking about creatine a lot, and it's really become popular, and a lot of people take it. And I think the short answer is yes, it probably could help you. There's a small percentage of people who genetically just have more creatine available to them. So those people in studies have shown that when they take supplements, it doesn't make a difference. But definitely vegans and vegetarians who do not get as much can benefit from creatine supplementation. And everyone in the middle still gets a little bit of benefit as well.
And there's another population that could benefit, right? Elderly
Yes.
population. You're battling sarcopenia, which is muscle loss, a natural process that occurs as we age. It can help battle that as well.
Absolutely.
And it's not just muscles, but also your brain.
The brain. Good studies to show and growing evidence to show that this improves reaction time and functional tasks when they're tested in elderly populations.
Okay, now what aspects of muscle work does this help? Is it just bulking up?
Right.
Or is it performance? Or is it endurance?
Yes. Yes.
Or is it recovery?
Yes. And yes. So it actually helps all of them. So originally people thought, I'm just going to take this to get big. So is this going to make you bigger? In one way, yes. You're going to retain some water. So people usually retain between 1 and 3 pounds of water when they complete a loading cycle or a 3-week cycle of creatine. We'll talk about the doses afterwards. So one, your muscles get more swollen so you look bigger, but also your muscles hypertrophy in response to loads. So the amount that you work out. So creatine helps facilitate you lifting more weight in a range of 10 to 30% after a period of 3 or 4 weeks. It also increases the number of reps you can perform, so reduces your fatigue within a set, and also improves your recovery. And all of those things lead to more muscle formation, which will make you bigger.
And all those things you can achieve to a certain degree just by working out. Those things happen when
100%.
you work out. You increase the amount you can lift, you increase the amount of reps you can do, You increase your recovery just by working out. However, supplementation with creatine has been shown to augment that.
And this is just because you have more of that short-term energy source. Imagine if you had a car and you had to drive at a very short distance, but really, really quickly. But you had a limited amount of gas. Maybe you can only get halfway out. This really kind of tops your tank up, has a little secondary tank that gets you over that finish line so you can push harder to the end.
A reserve.
A reserve.
Okay, can we talk about its safety issues now?
Okay.
Is it safe?
So I would say resoundingly yes, thankfully. So creatine is very safe to take. There are reported studies of hair loss and kidney function, which are probably the two of the bigger ones that people worry about. There is no reliable scientific evidence in the form of a randomized controlled trial that shows this. Unfortunately, creatine, the molecule, does get broken down to something called creatinine, which is a blood test that we use, a crude measure of kidney function. However, this as a test, if you talk to a nephrologist, would say it's not the most reliable way to measure kidney function because it doesn't take into account your amount of lean body mass. So again, no evidence to show that people taking creatine have had kidney failure.
Right. And in addition, weight gain, well, yeah, you're going to gain weight because you're gaining
Yes.
muscle bulk. Retention of water could be a side effect,
Yeah.
but that's part of its
What about more
process.
simple ones?
Well, muscle cramping, GI disturbances probably as well. These are things that you might feel taking it. They are transient and they're not considered serious.
Right.
Serious complications.
And the GI stuff they say is worse if you take large loading doses or if it's not dissolved. So some people will put it into warm water or even hot water to dissolve it because the molecule itself is not super water soluble.
Do you take it?
I do take it. Okay, so let's talk about how you take it. So creatine monohydrate is by far the most common. It's the cheapest and certainly has no inferior benefits to other types of creatine. So it's been shown to be probably the best way to take it. And there's two ways that you can do it. You can either load it or just take the same dose. And after about, say you take 5 grams is the recommended dose. If you take this daily for 3 weeks, your muscles in your body will become saturated with creatine. So at 3 weeks, it's equal.
Or if you're in a rush, you can do a loading dose for a week.
If you're in a
5
rush.
to 7 days.
And how much are they taking then?
I don't know.
Between 20 and 30.
20 and 30, I don't take it.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to start.
I think it's worth considering. So 20 to 30 grams for the first week if you're in a rush. Now, another question online a lot about creatine is should you cycle it? I mean, it's not an anabolic steroid. People cycle anabolic steroids. You should just not take anabolic steroids. That's the best cycle is just don't take it.
Yeah.
But there's no benefit of stopping creatine unless you're in a bodybuilding competition and you have to get really shredded.
Yeah.
Then you could lose that water weight in the short term.
That happened to me on the weekend.
Yeah, so when you go to competition, you
Yeah.
stop taking it, right?
When I compete,
Yeah.
I stop taking it. Actually, I don't take it. I don't compete. But maybe I will start taking it.
Yeah, and
After
then
this video.
and then you can compete.
Yeah.
But I add a little bit of water flavoring stuff to it because I find the taste was not the best, and it's like a little bit chalky. So there's lots of readily available water flavor things now that you can add to it. So that makes it a little tolerable. Get one of those shakers with the little metal stir thing in it.
Yeah.
That helps.
Has it helped your brain function?
I know. My wife would say no.
Okay.
My kids probably would say no, but I'm not sure. But I'd say
Time will tell.
And like we talked about before with placebos, I think when you take it, it's almost like it becomes a good habit. So when you work out a lot, you eat better, and then if you're taking creatine, then maybe you're more dedicated to your exercise regime. Who knows? I feel like I kind of go in fits and spurts in almost everything.
Most of us do, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, exercise is very important. If you're trying to choose
Yes.
between creatine and exercise, choose exercise.
Every time.
Choose life.
There you
Put
go.
that on a shirt. Bam.
Now you know. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to our channel.
And remember, you are in charge of your own health and the own supplements you take.
We'll see you next time.